What's up, Weekend Warriors? We are back. I'm a little late this week on the podcast. Didn't even have time to change, but I want to get into some things here with you. We had a crazy week 3 and week 4, just a little foreshadowing here to some of my topics, but it's Storyline Thursday today, and there's just a lot of drama going on right now in the league as far as, fantasy football is a crazy game of highs and lows. For example, give you an example of a good high and low. Otley comes out week 1, scores 50 points or something. Kind of dead to the world, down in the dumps. Monday morning, drinking his coffee, looking at the TV computer screen, not happy. The last 2 weeks now, he's won. Not only has he won, he's been the high scorer each week. He's taken home $50 already. 2 weekly highs for Ott. And now he's on cloud 9. Back at 2-1, in the thick of it. Some other not good examples. We'll get into them as we go. A couple others, but Pearson. The Mike Stanton home run curse might affect him at the moment, but that's a story for another time. That's a story for another podcast. But in any event, started out week 1 hot, great team. I'm not saying he doesn't have a good team, but week 2 and week 3 he didn't have a good team. I think he scored about 150 the first week, then about 75 each week in 2 and 3. So highs and lows. It happens fast. It can happen again in reverse. And we'll get into some other teams that I don't think have had any highs yet. So at least for you guys that have had highs and now are low, speaking of which, Dean, Christian McCaffrey, 1-0, riding high. Week 2 loss, week 3 goes down. So in any event, we're all in this together, unless you're 3-0, but I don't know of anybody who's 3-0. Unless you're 3-0, then you just have had all highs. But let's get into the week 3 recap. Thursday Night Football, I got way too cute. Texans plus 7.5. That was terrible. But then my other pick was Cardinals minus 7.5. That was the opposite of cute. It was a chalky pick. And the Jaguars were winning 13-7.5 even after they had that miracle field goal return thing. And Cardinals still handled it. So, foreshadow for my picks a little bit later. Don't get cute in the NFL. So I'm 2-4. Sometimes it looks too easy. Maybe it is too easy. Just take it. I'm 2-4 on the season. A 2-0 here, and I'm back to even. And I'm really feeling good about my picks this week. So get them in. Get them while they're hot. You know what? I'm actually going to give one right now. I'm going to tease my first pick, since I said don't get cute. My pick for the NFL this week is Titans minus 7. It was minus 7.5. Julio Jones questionable. The Jets have shown no sign of resistance at all. Not 1 ounce of resistance. Last week they lost 26-0. It's a 7-point line. People are like, well, that's a little bit of a telling line. The Titans should be favored by 13.5. I think so too. They should be favored by 13.5. Titans, if they don't win by more than 7, lock that in. Titans minus 7, take that now. So that's my one pick. But keep going with the recap. I had Terry over Valone. That, of course, happened. Valone fell to 0-3. Terry moves to 2-1. Chris over Jake. I don't know why I keep picking Chris. He asked me himself, why do you keep picking me? So the only time I picked him to lose was against me, and of course that was correct. But the other 2 times I predicted him to win, he lost. So Jake takes down Chris. Otley over PP, that in fact happened. Dean over Kevin, that did not happen. Almost though, Monday Night Football, Jalen Hurts did not look good. Got it together in the second half from a fantasy perspective. The Eagles ran 2 rushing plays? What? What is going on here? And then myself over Brett, that did happen. So I'm 3-2 for the 3rd consecutive week, and that moves me to 9-6 on the year. We mentioned that Otley was the high score for this 2nd week in a row. So congratulations to Otley. So week 4, we're going to jump into it. I said it was Storyline Thursday. And what I mean by that is we're first going to jump into the very first matchup. Chris Valone versus Chris Toscano, the battle of the Chris's. There can only be one Chris. So it's funny. Chris T texted me and he said, man, I'm playing Valone this week. He's 0-3. Maybe I'll get a win. Valone texted me about 5 minutes later and said, man, I'm playing Chris this week. He's 0-3. Maybe I'll get a win. So the good news is most likely one of you guys is going to get a win this week, unless you tie, which would be hilarious if you guys tied. But Team Shit Brown versus T-Bag, yeah, the funny thing about these two teams, Chris, he's 396 and a half points scored on the season. He's got the most points against by far. So that puts him at 5th in the league in points for. Now that's not spectacular, but also you shouldn't have 0 wins with that record. So, and Valone on the other side of the spectrum is 2nd to last in points for. 3rd in points against, or 4th maybe, 3rd or 4th in points against. So my point is, to date, Chris T, there can only be one Chris, has had the better season. But Valone's getting healthier. He's got Barkley, who's definitely back now as the guy. He's playing at New Orleans. That's one of the worst matchups you could have. Hopkins is a little gimpy. But Dak Prescott seems like he's back. The only thing is Dallas has found their run game. Valone's got a good team, not a great team. I see a little bit more potential, to be honest with you, in Chris's team. I've been saying it since week 1. Every year after the draft, I say, Chris, you got a good team, looks good. Mixon, Chubb, and Eckler. I mean, I still stand by that those guys are very, very, very good players. Joe Mixon tonight against Jacksonville. So it's funny, Chris T told me, he's always on a hole after Thursday night. This is the first night he's had a player on Thursday Night Football all season. Joe Mixon, I think, against Jacksonville. How do you not? I looked on the odds. He's minus 195 to score a touchdown. I almost gave that pick today. And I was like, I can't give a minus 195 pick. And then Chubb against the Vikings, who can't stop anybody. And then Eckler on Monday Night Football. I'm taking Chris again. This is the last time, Chris. If you lose again, I'm not taking you again. Rest of the season. So I'm going Chris T. Valone, I'm sorry, man. I know you're trying to make a comeback. The league site says you have a 4% chance of the playoffs. I stand by that. That's garbage. But you stood up here on the pod a couple weeks ago and you said it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. You have an extra week of regular season in this league already because there's only a 2-week playoff. And you have an extra week now that the season has been extended by the NFL. If you're ever going to make a comeback from 0-3 or 0-4, it's this season. I'm telling you, it's possible. It's doable. Everything that's happened to date can happen again in reverse. So I'm taking Chris T. That's my motivational speech today. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. Mike Pearson. All right. Team Shit Brown over T-Bag in week 4. Moving on to the matchup of the week runner-up. And I'm making this runner-up because Terry and Otley, both 2-1, battle of brother-in-laws, always a highlight matchup, 2 originals from the league. And I'm making it the runner-up for a couple reasons. First reason is there's another matchup that is going to get the matchup of the week. Is the first reason. Second reason is this week, I just think Otley's team, first of all, Otley's team in general is very good. But this week especially, I just think, some guys with some good matchups that... having Mike Williams, who right now is a wide receiver 2 in the league, at your flex is kind of a cheat code. Calvin Ridley, Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, and Mike Williams. That's a very, very good wide receiver core. It has to be the best in the league at this point. And you would say, with that receiving core, your running backs are a little weak. Well, he's got Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Swift. So Otley, from a skill position standpoint, is killing it. He also has Justin Tucker, who kicks 70-yard field goals. So Otley, it changes every week. Brett, I thought after week 2 had the best team. I think Pearson, I thought had the best team week 1. As of now, I think Otley has the best team. And he's projected to win by almost 20, which is kind of unheard of since no games have happened yet. So if Terry's going to win, it's going to be on the back of Josh Allen. He had 50 points last week. He's playing at home against Houston this week. He could go off, and Tyreek Hill at Philly, who exploded week 1, then did nothing for 2 weeks. He's due for another explosion, especially against the Eagles. So Terry definitely has the firepower to beat him, but Terry with Ruggs and Tyson Williams in his lineup at wide receiver 3 and flex versus the guys I just mentioned that Otley has, I got to lean Otley, and I think it's a chalky pick, but I'm taking him to beat Terry here in week 4. Moving on to the next matchup, Can You Dig It versus Keenan and L. Jake's team's looking a lot better than it was in the beginning of the season. James Robinson's starting to get the ball, and even though I think they might struggle a little bit today against Cincinnati, they struggle against everybody they play. James Robinson will get touches. And, Devontae Adams is back officially. He looks really good. He took the hardest hit I've ever seen in the history of football last week and passed concussion protocol in 90 seconds, but he's fine. But Odell Beckham is back. Brandon Cooks seems like a certified number one, even with long neck Davis Mills. So Jake's wide receivers, who we thought were the best in the beginning of the season, probably second best now to Otley's, who I just mentioned. But Jake's team is on the rise. But look, Brett's team's great. I mean, Zeke showed out last week. Najee Harris showed out last week with 19 catches. And Tyler Lockett avoided serious injury. The question mark is Damian Harris. James White out for the season now. Can Harris carry the mail in pass protection and catch some passes? Yet to be seen. But Stafford at home against Arizona. I'm taking Brett in this matchup. I think Brett has a top 3 team in the league. I think Jake's team is on the rise. I think he can definitely win this matchup. And I think he'll be in the thick of it all season. But I'm taking Brett in week 4 here. Speaking of storylines, moving into the next matchup, a matchup of the week, the finals from last season, the two lovers, as we call them, Balls Deep versus Pearson's father. Two rivals. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. Pearson versus Kevin. And, we talked about it. Storylines. Not only is this a huge matchup just in general, it's a huge matchup for Pearson. He can't fall to 1-3. He's had a tough season. He's had some bounce backs from some guys. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 100 yards last week. After he fumbled for the second time in a row, I thought this guy was done. He dug himself out. He had a good week. Kamara, after a horrible week in week 2, bounced back. But guys like A.J. Brown, obviously, is killing Pearson. And, Mari Cooper went off, similar to Tyreek Hill in week 1, and then week 2, week 3 did nothing. He's a tough guy to own. Miles Sanders, 2 carries. So, Pearson's got some guys on the trade block. He's trying to upgrade in different positions. And, I think his team is still solid with some of these pieces, but he's got some work to do for sure. And, he's projected 109.8 at this point, but that's because he has A.J. Brown in his lineup and he's not playing. So that'll go up. It'll be interesting to see who Pearson plays between Will Fuller. Maybe Antonio Brown's coming off the IR. But Kev's team's legit. I mean, Aaron Jones, certified baller. Montgomery at home against Detroit. Thielen's scored a touchdown every week so far this year. Travis Kelce, and he had Chuba Hubbard on his bench. I mean, that's a huge, huge stash, who is now a great flex play in week 4. And with Pearson's struggles and Kev's, good matchups, I got to lean Kevin in this matchup for now. I know Pearson definitely wants to beat his rival. And it'd be a huge, huge win here to get to 2-2, but I'm taking Kevin in week 4. And then moving on to my matchup versus Dean. Dean's a little down in the dumps. When you lose your best player, the best player in fantasy football on Thursday Night Football, I would be down in the dumps too. It's funny he said, yeah, I'm glad somebody has Chuba Hubbard because I didn't want to go out and spend a ton of money on him. So I kind of agree with him because he might be a couple-week rental. McCaffrey will be back. But this week, a couple guys I'm afraid of on his team, personally. Mahomes at Philly. Philly showed no signs of any type of defense. And now Mahomes going to town after losing 2 in a row. He's going to have a nice game. And Dean's starting to get healthy at the running back position. I think Josh Jacobs will play, even though maybe it's better if he doesn't. Peyton Barber went off against last week, 100 yards and a touchdown. Darrell Henderson's getting healthy, so it'll be interesting to see if some of these guys play and if they can be healthy enough to remain in the game. We'll see. But Tyler Boyd tonight against Jacksonville with T. Higgins out. It's a good matchup. So Dean's got some good matchups. But look, I got the GOAT, Tom Brady, going back to New England. He's going to put on a show. He's going to want to put on a show. The matchup of the week of any running back in the history of football, Derrick Henry against the Jets. Watch me say this and he'll have a dud week, but I just don't see how he can't score and have a big game. So Antonio Gibson, the best run of last week, he had 13.5 points on one play and he finished with about 16 points, so we'll see how he does. But this is the week that Allen Robinson gets right too against Detroit. So I'm taking myself. Obviously, it's worked out well for me this far. It's a close matchup on the percentages, but I think I'm going to take Dean down here in week 4. My pick tonight, don't get cute. Last week I got cute. Take the Bengals -7.5. Jaguars suck. Keep betting against Jacksonville and the Jets. It's very fortuitous so far. Guys, Commish is out. A little late today. Enjoy, and good luck here in week 4.